Hello everyone, good evening. Welcome back to my channel. So today we are going to be talking about research proposal. How do you craft your research proposal, especially for those that needed a PhD? Those that needed a PhD, either in the UK, in the US, or any other country. If you are interested in PhD or you are applying for a master's by research or MPhil, you will need a research proposal. So today we are going to be talking about research proposal, how to craft a compelling and a winning research proposal. So before we start, we are going to wait for 5 minutes so that others can join the call. So while we wait for 5 minutes, if you are already on the call, please write down your name. Thank you. Okay, Stanley, welcome. Thank you for joining. So we are waiting for 5 minutes. How was your day? I hope you had a great day. Also type in where you are joining from, okay? Okay. I remember, yeah, the last time I had a live stream, we were having a conversation. You said you are in Calabar, I recall. Yes. Okay, 2 people are already on the call. Please, the second person, write your name on the chat box, okay? You can also share the links. Sorry, the link to join this call. You can share the link so that others can also join. I'm going to do that right away. So let's wait for a few minutes for others to join. Two more minutes. We have 2 more minutes to go. Sorry, I need to take my medication. We're waiting for 2 minutes. One minute remaining. Once it's 7:05 West African time, we are starting immediately. Stanley, were you at yesterday's call? Were you on the call yesterday? I'm seeing 3 people already. Please, I want to see your names. The first 3 people, I want to see your names. I'm just seeing Stanley's name. Other 2 people, write your name on the chat box and write where you're joining from. Okay. We are starting now. Good evening, everyone, and welcome back to my channel. Like I said, today we are going to talk about how to craft a winning research proposal. Okay, Stanley, you couldn't join yesterday. Okay, just make sure you watch from day 1 to day 5. It's going to be very helpful for your scholarship journey. So make sure you watch everything, even if you did not join the live session. So today we are talking about research proposal. Yeah, why did I include research proposal? Because some scholarships will ask you for research proposal. For instance, if you're applying to the US, you know that US can take you from your BSc, you can get a PhD in the US because their PhD is 5 years. Your first 2 years is your master's, then the remaining 3 years is your PhD. So it's 5 years in the US. You will need your research proposal to apply for it. Even without getting a master's, you can get a PhD in the US. Then for those in the that want to apply to UK, you need your research proposal. You need your research proposal to apply to the UK. If you're applying for masters by research, you know that currently those that are doing their normal masters in the UK, you cannot bring a dependent on your normal masters except you are doing a masters by research or you are doing a PhD. That's when you can bring a dependent to the UK. So in case you want to apply for masters by research in the UK, you need a research proposal. If you're applying for MPhil, you need a research proposal. If you're applying for the Australia Award, some of the programs there are research-based programs. Australia Award is closing, I think, on the 21st of April or so, or 30th of April. But I know it's closing in April. If you're applying for it and your course is a research course, you need a research proposal. So many other schools, anything related to PhD, Masters by Research, or MPhil, you need a research proposal. So that's why we're holding this call today, to give you insight on how to craft a compelling and a winning research proposal so that it won't be the problem. Maybe you've gotten everything correctly, you've gotten the right scholarship to apply for, your personal statement or statement of purpose or motivation letter, CV, everything are ready. And then your research proposal may be the problem. So that's why you need to learn how to write your research proposal very well. So the objective of today's class, the first objective is to help you understand the purpose and the structure of a research proposal. You will learn how to frame your research proposal to align with the academic and the funding expectation, depending on what that organization or what the scholarship want to fund. Don't use a generic research proposal for all the applications. You have to align it to what that scholarship, what they want to fund. Some scholarship will bring out a specific project that they want to work on. Like maybe they have a particular project that they want. They will give you the topic, the details of the project, and then you have to write a research proposal that aligns with that project. That's how some scholarships are. Some will not give you the project. So it depends on what you're applying for. Then the next objective is to master the art of conducting a literature review. Literature review is very important because it is from the literature review that you're going to identify the research gap. What is the gap in the existing research? That's from there you now know what will be your research questions, what's the problem you're trying to solve. Because you're not, why is it called a research? Because you're trying to find out what others has not done, right? Or what they did not do well. That is why it is a research. You cannot come and be doing the same thing that another person have done. You need to look for loopholes in what others did not do well. So for you to find these loopholes, you need to conduct a literature review. So this training will help you to master the art of conducting a literature review. Then the next objective is to develop a strong research methodology. So the research methodology is the way you are going to carry out your research. So in this training, you learn how to develop a strong research methodology. Then the next objective is to create a long-term research plan, because some programs will ask you to include your research plan or your study plan. So if your program, your PhD, the one you're applying for, if it's for 3 years, you break down this your research that you want to conduct. You break it down into 3 years, which is 36 months. If it is for 5 years, you break it down, give it timeline, what you hope to achieve for each, maybe every month or every quarters. What do you plan to achieve by the end of this quarter, by the end of this month, by the end of year one? What do you hope to achieve? That's how you break it down. Then to understand ethical considerations in research. Yeah, what we call ethical consideration is very important in research, because you will not just start conducting research, you want to ask some people questions, you just start, you need to obtain some approvals. So we're going to get to that section. So the first part of a research proposal, you need to document this. The first part of a research proposal is your title. Your research proposal must have a title. So let your title be descriptive. When somebody look at the title, the person will be able to have an idea of what this research is all about. So the title should be able to describe, it should be concise. It should be concise, at least below 20 words, below 15 words. Those are okay. Let it not be too long, like a long sentence. It should be concise. So your title should show the specific thing you want to do. Your title should not be too broad, too generic. Okay, let me give an example of a weak title. For example, you want to conduct a research that has to do with climate change and agriculture. You just come and say your title is climate change and agriculture. It's too broad. Like, you need to like break it into section. For example, now you can say climate smart agricultural practices for enhancing smallholder farmers' resilience in sub-Saharan Africa. This title now is clear and it is specific. You're talking of climate smart agricultural practices, how it can be used to enhance smallholder farmers' resilience in sub-Saharan Africa. You mentioned the location of your studies. So anybody that sees this have an idea of where you want to conduct the research and what the research is all about. Then the next thing is, after the title, the next thing that comes after the title is your introduction. Your introduction. So some people can use, so the introduction, you have to talk about, like I've talked about STAR method before. You have to apply STAR method: situation, task, action, results, when you're writing your introduction. For example, you can say sub-Saharan Africa faces increasing food insecurity due to climate change affecting over 230 million people. This is the situation, the problem. Make sure you are citing the sources of your information. You can use the Harvard style referencing or the APA. There are different referencing formats, but whatever format you are using, be consistent. Use the same format of referencing for everything in that your proposal. If you are using the Harvard style, use Harvard style throughout. If you are using the APA style, use the APA style throughout. So when you are stating the problem, like I said, the introduction, you always start it with the problem. Like I said, sub-Saharan Africa face increasing food insecurity due to climate change affecting over 230 million people. You cite the source, cite it. Now, what is the task? Despite existing policies, smallholder farmers struggle with low adaptation rate. Did you see it? You have identified the situation, the challenges that smallholder farmers face. What's the task that is supposed to be done? They are supposed to adapt to climate change, but now they suffer with low adaptation rate. Then what is your action, your own action that you're going to take? That is when you are going to define your approach, how you want to conduct the research. When you are stating the task, make sure you also cite. If you are saying that despite the existing policies, smallholder farmers struggle with low adaptation rate, cite it so that when they check they will see the information other people have conducted the studies there. Anything you say, they cite it. So when they check the reference, they will see that this is actually true. You are not just saying it, you are claiming it. Where is your evidence? So everything about research or research proposal, you must show evidence of what you are saying. You must show the source of your information. You don't just wake up and start saying something. You have to show the source of your information. Then, after the task, the action. This research explores the effectiveness of climate smart agriculture in improving food security through, now the method, they are mentioning the method they are using, through data analysis, field experiment and farmers interview. This is the action you intend to carry out. So you talk about what your research is all about. This one now, you don't need to cite if it is not necessary to cite, because this one is what you are planning to do. That's what you talk about here. This research explores effectiveness of climate smart agriculture in improving food security through data analysis, field experiments, and farmers interview. This is the action you want to carry out. Then what's the next thing? The result. What is the expected result, or what do you intend to do with this your study? When you carry out the study, what do you intend to do? That's when you come. The findings of this research will provide recommendation for policymakers and development organizations, blah 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 blah. You just talk about what you want to do with the outcome of this research. You're not just conducting research for fun. So make sure you include it. I made it simple: situation, task, action, result. Situation, the first thing is the problem. Task is what is supposed to be done that has not been done. Action, what are you going to do to solve that problem? Result, what are your expectations for these studies? What do you want to do with the results? What do you want to do with the studies when you conduct it? Then after the introduction, the next part is the literature review. The next part is the literature review. This is the place that I used to say that this is the place that has work. So personally, if I'm writing a proposal or I'm writing a research, whatever, I like to write my introduction last. Introduction or abstract, I like to bring it last, even though I have an idea of what I want to write. But sometimes it's not the idea you started with that you end up researching when you conduct a literature review. Maybe that thing you wanted to do initially, someone else has done it, and maybe there are so many studies on that. You see that doing your own is no longer relevant. You can discover another problem when you are doing the literature review. So most of the time I like to write my introduction last. By the time I'm done with the literature review, I have a clear view of what I want to research on and what I don't want to research on. So the literature review is a critical analysis of existing research. You identify the gaps in existing research and justify your study's significance. So the gap that you identified is what's going to justify why you want to do that your own research. So how do you start a literature review? First of all, you start looking for studies that other people have done that is related to what you want to do. Then the next thing, you compare what you found from all these studies, compare it, their findings, their methodologies. What have they not addressed? What is missing in these existing studies? That's where you identify the knowledge gap. The knowledge gap that you identify is what you need to justify the reason why you are conducting that your research. If you didn't identify any knowledge gap, there is no need for that your research. So you need to identify a gap in the existing literatures. Then you now justify that, yes, these people have done this, they have done this, they have done this, but they did not do this, which is why you want to conduct a research on that. Okay, so where are you going to find sources, credible sources for your literature review? You don't include sources that you get from like all this Investopedia, Wikipedia, bloggers. You don't include it in your literature review. Those are not reliable sources. What are the type of sources you can use? You can use Google Scholar. You go to Google Scholar, check all the research works that are there. You can use PubMed for those that want to do health related research. Sometimes some of the research, even if it's not purely health, some of them are also published on PubMed. You can use JSTOR. JSTOR is for peer-reviewed articles, so you can use JSTOR, is a credible source. You can use Science Direct, you can use ResearchGate, and some universities have their own publishing agencies like Oxford. Other So many universities have their own media where they publish, so those ones are also credible sources. You can use World Bank, depending on what you are conducting. World Bank, UNICEF, WHO, all these ones are also credible sources. I've forgotten what I want to say. So all these ones are credible sources where you can get your literature review, where you can get it from. Then the next part, remember the first part is the title, second part is the introduction, the third part is your literature review. And after your literature review, that's where you craft out your research problem. You craft out the research problem. Most of the time, research problem follows after literature review. Research problem, research objectives, you write it out. Then, depends on the type of problem you are solving, will determine whether you are going to develop your hypothesis or not. So this is a very huge topic. We are going to have a special class for research and publication. We're going to have a special class for that. I don't want to go deep into the research questions and research objectives. It's going to take a whole day or a whole week, because we have different types of research questions, expository, different types of research questions. So we are going to talk about that in details, because the next class we are going to have will be on publication, research. So we're going to go deep into that in the next class. So after your literature review, you write out your research questions and your research objectives. Like I said, if your research question is one that needed research hypothesis, then you create your hypothesis. Then after that, research methodology. So how do you intend to conduct this research? What's the research methodology? It's just like the design. It has also several sub subheadings. You have to talk about your research design. Are you doing a qualitative research? Qualitative research maybe has to do with like interviews, focus group, one-on-one stuff. Those are the qualitative research. Are you doing quantitative research, whereby you make use of data, like a lot of data sets, you do some programming, coding? Those are the quantitative research. So depends on your research problem, what you are trying to solve, and then the sources of your data. Where will you get your data from? If your research is something that need qualitative method, maybe you are going to get your data from interviews, from surveys, questionnaires, and one-on-one stuff, then that is more of a qualitative research. So your method will be qualitative. Then you can also do mixed method. Depends on what you are researching on. If your research requires some mixed method, maybe you are trying to compare existing studies and then what you will find by your own self. So you can use mixed method, depend on your research question. Mixed method is a combination of qualitative and quantitative research. Then after you explain your research design, you're going to explain your data collection method. So how do you intend to collect the data? Are you doing survey? Are you doing interview? Are you doing experiment? Are you doing case study? Are you using existing data that others have collected? So you need to state your data collection method. Then you also need to justify your sampling technique. You need to justify it. How did you select your sample? So it's not going to be a biased sample. You need to justify how you picked your sample. Maybe you did some randomization, you assigned values, or you did some things randomly to pick the participants. So just make sure that what you are doing for your research is not something that is biased, because if it is biased, the result of the research is not going to be very credible. So you need to select your sample in a randomized way. Then the next thing is to discuss your data analysis method. So discuss it. What are the methods you are going to use to analyze this data when you are done collecting all of them? Are you using some econometrics model? What are the methods you are using? So you need to talk about it. Then after that, you state the expected outcome. What are the things you expected from this research? How you intend to use this research to fill a knowledge gap. So maybe you can say, okay, let me give an example. This research is expected to improve climate adaptation policies, benefiting over 5 million farmers across the African countries. The findings will contribute to a global discussion on sustainable food solutions. So make sure you talk about the expectations of the research, what you expect to do with the outcome of the research. Then the last part is the ethical consideration. Ethical consideration is very important. You need to talk about it in your research proposal. It is very important to be in your research proposal. You will talk about how to inform your research participants, maybe those that you are going to question if you are doing interview or you are going to give survey. You need to get their consent. You will tell them beforehand. Make sure that they understand what you want to do with the information you are asking them to give you. Make sure they understand it and they agree. Then confidentiality, you need to protect their data. It's not after you have collected data for research and then you start publicizing it everywhere. So all this data you use will be confidential. You make them understand that this is a confidential stuff. Then integrity, so avoid plagiarism. Don't plagiarize, don't manipulate the data set you are using. Don't manipulate it to suit you or to favor you. Then what are other things you can consider as well? What is the impact of your research both on the environment, on the community? For instance, you are trying to do something to reduce greenhouse gas emission. You make sure you are not emitting the greenhouse gas when you are doing the research. Also, you can give some incentive to research participants to make sure that they agree, to just make them to accept to conduct the research. Or maybe you want a survey, or you can give incentives. You can give some maybe Amazon voucher and other incentives just to entice them to participate in the research. So what is another thing that you can include? Some scholarships, they will ask you for your timeline or your study plan or how you intend to do your research plan, study plan, depending on what they call it. So if you are doing a research of 3 years, you break down this proposal, you break it down, what you hope to achieve for each year. For example, you can say in year one, you want to conduct literature review in the first year. You talk about in the first year, you want to conduct an in-depth literature review. You want to define your research objective, the research framework to secure ethical approval, which I talked about now, about the ethical consideration. You need to conduct pilot studies to refine your methodologies. You list it out. These are the things you want to do in year one. In year two, you want to do data collection. So if it's something you need to go for field work, you are going to the site, you're going to the venue to get all this data. And then you start analyzing the data using statistical softwares. You present your findings. In year three, you write your what do they call it? Is it a dissertation? Yeah, you write your dissertation in year three and complete your data analysis, then submit your paper, defend your thesis, and then graduate. For those that are doing 5 years research, maybe you are going for a 5 years PhD, you can break down your research plan or your study plan. You can break it down into the 5 years. The first year, you want to do a literature review, you want to develop your research proposal, defend it. Maybe if you need a funding, you secure funding. If you need additional funding, depending on what your research is all about. Year two, you talk about your research design and pilot study. You conduct some pilot study, then finalize your research methodology. And depends if they ask you to submit. Some of the schools will ask you to submit. You write it and submit. They will vet it before they approve it. Year 3, you do your data collection, and then year 4, you do your data analysis. Year 5, you write your dissertation and then defend it. So we are already at the end of the class, but I'm going to do like a finalization or a how will I put it? Like, I want to round up everything we have discussed. First, this session is for those that want to do either a PhD, a master's by research, or an MPhil. You will need to develop a research proposal. There are two ways. Either you develop a proposal that is in line with what the school has mapped out. Some school will map out some topics. Maybe a particular professor is conducting a study on a particular field, and he or she has gotten funding. She now wants to employ researchers that will work on that project. If you are applying to a school that has this kind of format, they already have a project. They only want you to work on the project. Then what you need to do is to develop a research proposal. Yeah, thank you, Stanley. Develop a research proposal that is in line with that project that they want you to work on. But if there is no project you are supposed to work on, you need to develop a research proposal of your choice. What do you want to work on? Develop it, anyone you want to work on. And then make sure it's also in line with the school. Do you understand? Let me give an example now. For instance, my school in SOAS, we are not doing anything related to health. I will not come to SOAS and start proposing something that is purely health related when I know that this school is more of social science and art. So if I develop such kind of proposal, it may be difficult to get supervisors. So anything you are developing, make sure you find a supervisor in that school that your interest aligns with his or her own. Make sure you find a supervisor that when the person sees your work, the person would like to supervise you. One thing about PhD is that PhD is not like master's application. Or if you are doing research, anything by research, it's not like ordinary masters, because you'll be assigned a supervisor. So if you choose a course, a topic that nobody in that school is conducting research in that field, nobody will select you, because these supervisors, your application will go to their desk. They will look at it and pick the people they like, the people they feel like this thing match their interest. That's why we have the code email, what we call code email. Sometimes before you apply to schools, you send code email, look at the school website, check the supervisors or the professors that their interests and yours are in line. You send them code email, send them your research proposal. By then you must have developed your research proposal. Send them your research proposal, talk about how your work aligns with their own and how you want them to supervise you. You can even discuss one of their works, maybe their publications. You can discuss it, how you are interested in what they are doing and how it aligns with what you want to do and why they should supervise you. You send your code email. So when you're sending code email, it's good to attach your CV, attach your research proposal. Is good. If the supervisor likes you, the person will tell you, okay, go ahead and apply, that he's going to take you. That's how so many people got scholarship in the US. So many people. That's how they get their scholarship in the US. So also in UK, some schools, in fact, some schools like Cambridge, Imperial College, they will tell you that you must get a supervisor before you apply to the school. That's why I didn't apply to Imperial College. And that was why my application to Cambridge was also rejected. I did not get any supervisor. I just applied and I was bounced back immediately. Not only that, I didn't put my transcript as well. So, but then I wasn't too bothered about that. Imperial College, I didn't bother to apply because I did not get a supervisor. The supervisor, my interest matched with her own. She's already occupied. She was her name was written among those that are not available. So no need of going forward. In my school here in SOAS, I contacted one of my lecturers. We had the same interest. I sent her code email, put my CV, my research proposal, my personal statement, and then she replied me that she enjoyed reading my CV, my personal statement, and my research proposal. Then she pointed out some things I need to adjust in my research proposal. She even highlighted it in the document, so I need to go back, check the corrections she made, and then implement it. But I even mentioned her name in my application, that this is the person I want to supervise me. So for her to say she enjoyed reading my CV and our research interests are in line with each other, I was so happy. That's like a good news. It shows that you have high chances of getting this admission and then the scholarship. So these are the things you need to check before you apply. Don't just go and be wasting your time and be applying. If you apply, make sure you get somebody. But if you didn't even get, make sure you see supervisors that your interest matches with his or her own. Then what's the next thing I talked about? The research proposal. This session is just for developing a research proposal. The upcoming session I'm going to organize, I will talk about how you can get publications. Some of these people, they look at your publications as well. They want to see if you'll be able to conduct a research. Imagine you are going for a research degree. You don't even have a single publication. Guy, are you serious? You need to publish at least 1 or 2 books before going for your PhD. Even though you didn't publish, you still have high chances of getting selected. But like, more people that have publications have higher chances, or people that have worked in various research roles, they have higher chances, because PhD is all about research. Masters by research is all about research. So they want to see that you have the ability to conduct research. That is why I'm hosting the next session about publication. In fact, the next session I'm going to host will be hotter than this one, because we are going to publish books. We are going to give ourselves targets, and we work with that target and the timeline. And before the end of the 1 month, you get your books published. That's my target. That's my target. Because this 2025, we go chop scholarship. We go chop am. There are a lot of scholarships open now in the UK, and most of them, their deadlines are like towards ending of May, towards ending of June. No, towards ending of May. Most of them, I saw it when I was compiling the list of scholarship. I say you should buy that book. You don't want to buy it. If you did not get scholarship, now you do your own. No. So I was compiling, I saw so many scholarships that even the ones I did not even know they exist. They are there, and most of them are closing May, April, May, June. A lot of scholarships. You still have the opportunity now to get it right. You still have the opportunity now to get it right. So, what are the parts of a research proposal? This is like a summary of what we've said. The first part is your title. Make sure the title is descriptive. What you're writing in the title should show what you are going to do in that research. Don't come and say climate change and agriculture. No. Let it show the place, the location, the type of research you want to do. Your title should be able to pass the message. After the title, what did I say is the next one? The next one is introduction, where I talked about using the STAR method. You start with the situation. What is the task that should be done that others did not do? The action, what's the action you intend to carry out through this your research? The result, what do you want to do with the result of this your research? These 4 things must be complete. When you write your introduction and you check it didn't cover these 4 points, know that you did not write it very well. After the introduction, your literature review. I talked about the various sources. Don't use bloggers. Don't cite bloggers. Don't use bloggers to do literature review. Don't use Wikipedia to do literature review. Those are not credible sources. Credible sources are like Google Scholar, PubMed, WHO, World Bank, all these international reputable organizations, UNICEF. Those are the kind of things you can cite. United Nations. Then you can also use JSTOR, Google Scholar, PubMed, ResearchGate, Science Direct. These are credible places you can use for your literature review. Use the Harper style or Harvard style or other good citation styles, and make sure you cite the sources of your information, so it won't be like plagiarism. When you list out something and you don't cite it, is a plagiarism. And one thing before I forget, don't copy what other people wrote word to word. If you are copying from any other source and you know you want to cite it, if you want to copy them word to word, you have to put it in, how do I, you put, is it parenthesis or what do they call it? You put it, so like, as a quotation, you know that this thing, you're quoting them word to word, even though you cite the source, but you put that quotation marks because you copied word to word. But it's not always advisable, except if it's something you want to highlight the importance, you want someone to look at this, how important it is, then you can copy word to word and put it in quotation marks. But if you are doing literature review, any information you gather from any source, you rewrite it. Don't copy and paste exactly, rewrite it. Because if you copy and paste, it is plagiarism. So you rewrite in your own language and then cite the source. Even though you rewrote it, you have to cite the source of that information. Then after your literature review, you talk about your research question. Then after a research question, your research objective, depends on your research question, will determine whether you are going to have a research hypothesis or not. Depends on your research question. Then after that, you talk about your research methodology. Are you using qualitative or quantitative or mixed method? What method are you using? Then the last one, what are your expected outcomes? What do you expect the outcome of this research? What do you want to do with the outcome of the research? Do you want to use it to inform policymakers, academia? What do you want to do with the outcome of the research? Then the last one is ethical consideration. You talk about how you handle people's data. You need to talk about how you intend to get their consent before you carry out. You can even talk about maybe giving incentive to the participants, and then data confidentiality. You're not disclosing their information. You have to assure the people you're maybe researching on. You talk about randomization, how you intend to pick your research group, your research participants. You need to do it randomly so it won't be biased. That's all about the ethical consideration. Then your study plan. Depends. You study plan, you talk about how you intend to carry out the research for the 3 years PhD, 2 years masters by research, or 5 years PhD. Depends on what you're writing the proposal for. You break it down. So that's all for today. If you have any question or comment, you have to drop it in the chat box. Any questions, comments, or reactions? I want to see your emoji. So I'm waiting. So we have come to the end of the 5 days scholarship bootcamp. For all of you that participated from day 1 to day 5, I wish you good luck in your scholarship search, and I pray that you will get a scholarship this year. For those of you that have not ordered for your own book, yeah, all the lessons I use for the 5 days bootcamp, it's going to be ready by next week. I'm going to put the link to get the document to this particular session. So when I finish compiling it, you can revisit this session to get the link to it. For the day 1, the scholarship, where I listed out over 100 scholarship, that one is $5 if you're interested in getting it. Day 2, where I talked about the personal statement, motivation letter, and the compilation of all my own winning personal statements, SOPs, motivation letter, that one is also $5. For the day 3 class, I differentiated between personal statement, statement of purpose, motivation letter. Day 4, I talked about academic CV, and I also have a compilation of my own academic CV, 1-page CV, 2-page CV, Europa CV, 7-page CV. That one is also $5 if you're interested in getting it. Then today is about research proposal. If you need to get a research proposal as a guide, I have my research proposal. That one is also $5. So when I compile all the sessions, everything we've taught for all the session, we did it for 5 days. So instead of 25 USD, it's going to be for 20 USD. I'll be uploading the link very soon. When all the books are ready, I'll upload the link very soon to get it. So our next session, we'll be talking about publication. Walk you through how to conduct research. You will conduct the research. It's not about talking. Next session is going to be very powerful. So if you have not subscribed, subscribe now. Turn on your notification. If you are not in the WhatsApp group, join the WhatsApp group. Send me a private message. I'll add you to the WhatsApp group. Next session is going to be very powerful because this scholarship, we must get it this year. So we need to do every preparations we need. Get your publications. You need to publish so that you add it to your CV. These are the things. In fact, the next session we're going to have, we'll make it in such a way that all the participants that do it successfully, your book will get published, you get a certificate of recognition that you participated in so class, and everything you learn. Like, it's going to be super massive. So make sure you stay tuned. Join our session, our WhatsApp group, subscribe to our YouTube, Telegram, follow us on Instagram, and then I'll see you guys in the next session. If you have any comments or question, you can drop it. But in the absence of questions, comments, then I'll be ending the session. So I'm going to wait for like 1 or 2 minutes. If you have any comment or question, just drop it on the chat box. Thank you. Comment. I'm waiting. If you enjoyed the session, show a beautiful emoji. Let me see that you enjoyed the session. Okay. So we're going to end the session now.